Search and rescue teams are working around the clock near Miami. But 5 days now after the partial collapse of a condo complex, hope of finding any more survivors is fading. At least 10 people are known to be dead, including many more, including 4 Canadians are still unaccounted for. Florida officials gave an update earlier today.
This morning, we did recover another body. That brings the count to 10. The total number of those accounted for is now 135, and the total unaccounted, 151. Our detectives are working in real time right now to audit this list. We're receiving multiple calls still from family members about the same loved ones, and the information is coming from various sources. I want to stress, as we have from the beginning, these numbers are very fluid and they will continue to change.
CBC's Katie Simpson was listening in for us on that Surfside, Florida news conference. She has more on this evolving situation.
The local officials made it very clear that this remains a search and rescue operation and that hope is still alive, that they will find survivors somewhere in this rubble. They explained that there's still the possibility that there could be spaces underneath the rubble where the people could survive, and that is giving them hope at this point. They haven't been able to search the very bottom of the rubble pile, and that is where they are trying to focus their efforts. The elements, even though it's raining right now, there has been a bit of a break for the crews. There was a large fire burning underneath the rubble that was causing so much smoke that was making the search conditions difficult. That was out as of yesterday, and we've now been able to see the search and rescue crews dig a deep trench to try and be able to access more of the debris pile so that they can do a more thorough search, and so they can get some of the technology in there to search for signs of life. Sonar technology to try and pick up on sounds, not necessarily shouting or people calling for help, but sounds of people moving, sounds of people, anything that would indicate that perhaps someone is still alive in there. One other thing that really stood out to me in this news conference is, in addition to officials saying that, this remains a search and rescue operation, a question that some of the families have asked repeatedly during their private information briefing sessions with these local authorities is, well, have you checked this unit? My loved one was in this unit. Have you checked this unit? The way the officials explained it today and sort of broke it down in terms of exactly what they're doing, they can't search the units because everything is just, when it fell to the ground, when the building fell to the ground, it pancaked, as they said. And so they're picking up chunks of concrete and chunks of debris by hand with cranes, chunks of concrete that are the size of basketball. So it's a very slow, methodical process, and they have to be careful to make sure that the debris pile doesn't shift, that people who are doing the search and rescue operations don't endanger themselves or endanger anyone who might still be alive in the bottom of this rubble pile. As you can imagine, the families who are waiting for word on their loved ones, they are growing increasingly exhausted, frustrated. This is an agonizing process for them. More than 100 hours of a search and rescue operation, and so far, authorities have only been able to confirm that 10 people have died as a result of this tragedy, and they are growing increasingly frustrated and impatient, waiting for word of their loved ones. Yesterday, some of those family members were taken to the site to actually get an in-person tour to see what is actually happening on the ground, to hope to alleviate some of their questions about what is actually happening. How is this taking so long to find the location of their loved ones? But the main takeaway from this, it's still a search and rescue operation and will continue to be so for the time being.
Senior correspondent Katie Simpson in Surfside, Florida.